Hi, beautiful human. I'm Zach. That's Santa. And we welcome to the studio, Wasia Project. Did I say that right?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I did. What?
What'd you say?
What
What did you say?
What should I have said?
Wasia.
Wasia.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
That's what you said,
You
yeah.
said it.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Wasia? Oh, what did you think? Oh my god. Again, you can't gaslight me this early into the conversation.
Maybe my headphones aren't working.
That is not okay. Did I say Wasia?
Well, we got it on roll. We'll
Yeah,
on
we'll check it
camera,
afterwards.
Okay, comment section. Go ahead. Go for me. Wasia Project. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
It's very interesting to talk to like a brother-sister duo because I'm like the work dynamic, the creative dynamic, the vulnerability dynamic. I'm very fascinated as to how it all works. Also, your story is interesting because you've been making music a long time, but then you entered an open call and ended up on a huge TV show. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I guess like
Like, why? Why'd you answer the open call? How bored were you?
I'm bored.
think
Wasn't it lockdown?
it was in lockdown. It was at the end of lockdown.
Must have
and
been really bored.
I saw the call, and it was actually through my youth theatre, and I was like, oh, you know what? Got nothing to lose. I was in my final year of school, and we'd been making music kind of on and off outside of school.
Yeah, it was before.
And then yeah, got the gig, and then then it happened, and I left school. I stopped school. I mean, I wasn't really doing school anyway because of lockdown, and then I found myself on this big TV set. We shot for 3 months, and then I took my exams, my final year exams, which wasn't ideal, and then it came out.
Can you explain to me at what point you realize what you got into? Or like what this thing really is?
Yeah, I think it hit me on the first day of shooting.
I remember
coming
that.
home,
I remember you came back shitting yourself.
I was
Like,
so
bro.
scared. Like, I just remember going, because I was kind of used to acting in theatre, and it's the audience is there, and then you're obviously on the stage, and it's like us and them. But then with camera, it's like it's right in your face, and I was like, I just never felt so like seen up close before. And I just remember I was the first line and the first scene of the whole shoot, like first day, and everyone's there. Netflix is there, all the producers are there, and I just completely fluffed all my lines. I didn't know what I was saying. I was like, I just froze, and that's where it hit me. I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. Yeah.
What an amazing moment to grow and to rise to the occasion. Because in that moment, like, you kind of have no other choice.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just, you're straight into it, and it's intense, but I just remember growing so much that day, in that one day. And I came home and just told you all about it, and I was like, I feel like I've grown like a month in a day.
Yeah.
That's a really, I have very many days like that. And it's like a moving thing. Like, you really you're thrown out of your comfort zone into the deep end, so much so that, like, dude, you drown or you swim.
Word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's intense.
It's intense.
It's an intense.
I don't know how. It's
industry.
big area of growth.
Yeah, and we get that on stage as well. Like, I think kind of each show that we've done together since the beginning. You know, it's 3 years to the day we did our first ever show, live show.
Today.
3 years today.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and we performed in a pub in East London to about 40 people. And every show we've done from then to hopefully the one tonight, we've grown. Like, I feel every show we've grown in some way. Even the shows that go really bad, or the shows that we just feel like, oh my goodness, that just really didn't go the way we wanted it to. That's just a growth in itself. Like, it's all a step in the next direction, in the right direction.
For sure. Yeah.
Was your genuine intention to become an artist duo from the very beginning? Or when did you guys realize that you could even make music together?
I feel like the making music together definitely happened before even thinking about the journey and like where we wanted to go and ambitions. And that was like the organic thing about it. And I guess music's been a really important part of both of our lives. I don't think, early on I was thinking, we're going to be a big sibling duo. But I think there was a moment that clicked, I think after we did our first EP, which was just like an amalgamation of like songs we'd written before. And we released it, and we were like, okay, we're releasing this for a reason.
Is this the one with Misfit Biscuit?
No, that was actually before that.
Oh, wow.
That was before.
It's pretty early days.
That's early
song.
days, man.
Yeah.
That was a lockdown one as well.
That was a lockdown one.
That was
yeah.
a lockdown.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we I think we saw more of a clear vision when we saw how people reacted to it. I think like wanting to take it to further levels when we were like, oh shit, okay, this is something that people are resonating with, and clearly there's something special in our collaboration and the way we write together. So yeah, I don't know when that was though. Probably like, I don't know, like 4 years ago.
Yeah, like 3 years ago. I don't know.
Quick
You have
maths,
no
quick
concept
maths.
of time.
No
Yeah.
concept. Neither of us are very good with concepts.
Bro, I'm
of
so
time.
bad with time.
But to be fair, I don't either, and I think COVID made it really way worse.
Yeah,
100.
I keep saying like, yeah, that was in COVID. I think that COVID was that gray area where we really just had so much time to reflect, and loads of stuff just came out of us at that time, I think.
How would you describe the music that you make? Because like from the outside looking in, it gives me hyperacoustic, kind of lo-fi, but like singer-songwriter. Somebody on our team listens to you guys every night to fall asleep. You could take that as you may, but like I think that's a compliment.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure. I think definitely like our earlier stuff, because it was all, I think, obviously recorded in quite a like low budget, organic way, like garage band, bedroom. And during that time where we were making, I think the artists we were listening to in the late like 2010s were like Clairo and like Billy, and they were all doing it in their bedrooms, and it was a much more accessible way of making music. I think that's the lo-fi aspect to it. And also we were so young. Like we were like mid-teens, cringe, like, but the music you make out of that is so so much like bigger than life, because during that time like everything is so big and emotions are so raw, and yeah, I think it's like it's kind of nostalgic in a way. I don't know. It's hard to like reflect.
Difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult to like put especially from within it, like when we're in it, we talk a lot about references, and that goes from like other pieces of music, films, visuals, and I think we're completely open with what references we kind of reference, if that makes sense. Like we don't feel bound to like genre, especially when we're making music, and I think maybe that does create a kind of ambiguity with where people put our sound. It's just because we feel creating music just very open with inspiration.
Yeah.
You first start making music how? Is it like writing a song together? Is it just playing together? Is it singing a cover?
I think it was like this discovery of songwriting, like writing a song. I think for me anyway, I didn't realize when I listened to like the Beatles or something that they'd actually written it. That concept didn't play with my mind until like I discovered this thing called songwriting. I was like, oh my God, like Paul McCartney, John Lennon, they're all actively writing this stuff from somewhere, and they were putting it into the instruments. And that discovery inspired us to kind of start playing with chords and playing with melodies and creating lyrics in that way. And I remember coming to you with Why Don't You Love Me, which is our first single, and I was like, oh my God, there's this thing called songwriting. It's so cool.
That's crazy. That didn't happen to me.
And then you were like, yeah, that's songwriting. And then we went and made
It's like a big
first
epiphany.
one.
I was like, bro, what?
Yeah, it was like an epiphany for me. I think
Yeah.
GarageBand was this whole other thing, and
Yeah.
Olivia, you like got GarageBand, and I was like, what is this? It was like this whole discovery, because before that
You'd studied music, right?
Yeah.
we studied music, but it was like classical music, and it was all very like piano lessons, and you were doing scales, and it's such a different perspective of like playing music and playing other composers and then creating it yourself. It felt like a new dimension for me.
Because in like classical music, especially when you're young learning it, you only ever really play other composers, like repertoire and like what other people have composed. So I can understand why that was some like sort of epiphany. And like, because we were learning instruments, it's like, it's the tool that you communicate your writing through. So it was like we were mastering a craft of something, but it wasn't songwriting. I guess like for me, I don't know how it started, but like I think just early days, it was mainly in school where we had like music classes and they were like, you know, like you can like compose a song, write a song, and it was like a little exercise. And then it just became like a regular thing and could be like a form of expression. And yeah, like translating how we feel.
When did you first write a song together?
That was like Why Don't You Love Me? Like he came with his song to me, and I think it was for like one of your music exams actually. I don't know what it was for, but you took it to me and it was kind of just like in the living room. You were like, oh, look at this thing I made. And I started singing like along, I think.
Yeah, and we like built layers onto it. It was all on GarageBand with a karaoke mic, and we like put it in the piano, like then you were singing, and then it was out of time, so you kind of made a makeshift
like
beat.
That was the lo-fi beat. That's where the lo-fi comes from. Like looking for sounds, like YouTube tutorials on GarageBand. And I think the writing process was like, yeah, like we were sat at that piano. I was like, oh, like what if you changed that? And then what if instead of that lyric, it was like that? And then it slowly became like a process of some sort, adapting and trial and erroring a song until it was somewhat like, oh, we can record this now. Yeah.
Let's talk about Isotope, which is the EP that's brand new.
Mm-hmm.
Are you isotopes of one another?
Maybe.
I mean, where does the name come from? That would make sense to me.
Yeah, that's basically it.
I think it's a play on collaboration, and Isotope being kind of an amalgamation of different parts that come together as this one atom. And I think collaboration creatively between us as siblings, as a band, as a songwriting duo, but also just in general, like all of the people we collaborate with to create the work that we create is in this kind of capsule of a bubble or an isotope. And I thought it'd be interesting to play with that in an EP, because an album felt a bit too big to play with a concept like that. An EP felt like the perfect length to kind of follow this one character, this one voice, and this journey.
So are you writing from the perspective of a character, or are you writing from your perspectives, like of who you are? And
it's definitely like personal perspective. I think through this like concept, it's so hard being siblings or even just like collaborators as like the front artist, because the way we write is often so personal, right? And like when we come together with ideas, it almost always has to be some kind of like shared voice. Even if it was like William wrote like a really personal song to him, it's under our collaborative name and like artist persona. So it's like both of our personal voices coming together through like one pillar basically, and like one character. But I think the songs on there are very much like they begin from our personal experiences, I would say, and then form into like this concept.
Are you bringing lyrics to each other? Are you bringing finished songs to each other? Or are you really writing something from nothing together?
It really depends on the song, on the project. I think some songs, like one of us will bring in an idea and it'll be built off that. And then other songs, it's like Is This What Love Is? The opening is a complete collage of two different songs.
Yeah, two songs we were both writing.
And it's like it's this kind of beautiful second part of the process of bringing ideas together and then kind of piecing them together to make a record. And I think we normally write initially, like we bring ideas to writing sessions, and that comes from like being in solitude and writing and reflecting in that way. And then there's this kind of second layer to the onion of creation.
Onion of creation.
And like
that's a first.
That is a first. Coming together and then piecing it all together.
There's a lot of chaos in Is This What Love Is? And you're exploring love very generally. What do you learn about it? Or what do you discover?
About love?
That song, I mean, the whole song to me is like one sonic question. But I think in the process of writing that and then like reflecting on how that song actually sounds, like you said, chaos, like I think love can be so safe and peaceful, but there are so many emotions that come with like being in love with someone else, or like familial love, or like any type of friendship. It's like, it's such a like a huge word that encapsulates almost every niche emotion out there. And they're so tailored to like specific scenarios. So I guess like that song was one big question, like what the fuck is going on? Yeah, I don't know.
Do you get an answer on the other end or no? I mean, maybe the process of life is never getting an answer.
Maybe.
You're just experiencing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like philosophy or something. Like you're asking questions all the time, but it's always like maybe.
Also,
you have to live with it.
Like, as an artist, in hindsight, because that song was written like 3 or 4 years ago. In hindsight, you discover, especially by performing it live, you discover what you were like. You're like, oh, maybe that's what I was feeling, or that's how I felt about it. And then with the kind of depth of time and life experience, you kind of understand yourself a bit more, and you have you have more love for your former self in a lot of ways. Or I guess with that song.
So that song's been around for 3 or 4 years. Why did it need to come out now?
I think the longer a song marinates, the more urgency there is to want to show it to other people. Because I think, especially now, we're growing so fast at this age, and like every year is like shedding a new skin, and it's a new era or whatever. And we're becoming more and more, or like we're growing into ourselves. And I think especially now, that song being written, when you were like 16 and I was like 14 or something like that. It's like,
that's crazy.
now being older, that gap is so huge and change. So like our perspective of that song is so different. And sometimes, it like changes how much we want to show it to other people, or like our attitude towards it.
Were all these songs written that long ago?
Not all of those.
No.
Is This What Lovers and Tell Me Lies were quite early on.
Early days. And Takes Me
then
Back Home, actually.
Takes Me Back Home, really early days.
Yeah, I was like 15.
But
There's
then
only
others
7 songs, guys. So how many songs are left?
Yeah, and then a couple of them, like To Get Better and Somebody Come Through were like more.
It was like a year
more
ago.
recent. Yeah, a year or two ago. I do sometimes get frustrated by that backlog of like just time, and you can write a song, but 3 years later, then you come round to it.
Yeah.
Like some part of me feels like you've already grown like past it, maybe life wise. But it definitely does add a layer to like what you were saying. It does add a layer to like your ability to work on it from that side of more empathy, I guess.
Yeah, and like perspective, because a lot of the times when we're like working on producing with it, it's like a completely different perspective because you're reflecting on your old self or something like that.
How often are you guys writing now?
A lot, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a good. It's like going to the gym. Someone described it to me recently. Like
It's a muscle.
It's a muscle, and I think it's like always just letting it flow. Being at the piano, being in spaces where you can create, having access to, like, we have a little flimsy keyboard that we take on tour, but it's actually really helpful. And you end up kind of on the bus or like late at night, you're like, oh, I'm just going to try something, and it's really handy. And I think having access to something like that, and then constantly being able to work the muscle is the main thing.
I think you're a lot more flowy, like with your writing process, like
It's like a practice.
Yeah, I feel like you say it's a skill. I think for me, I really have to be in a specific headspace or like some sort of like like safe space where I can really listen to my mind. And a lot of the time, if I'm not by myself or in a quiet room, I just won't be able to think in the way that I know that I want to write a song. And so that limits things sometimes, and it's like pressure and like timelines and what's coming up next. Like if we're about to go on a tour, I find that my mind is just really occupied, and songwriting doesn't necessarily flow from that occupation. It's often from like stillness.
Why Don't You Love Me comes out in 2019. A lot of these songs are written 4 years ago. Is there growth? Do you hear growth between your first single and the project that we just got in August?
100%.
In what ways?
In every way, I guess.
I don't know in every way.
Production wise, for sure. Like going from a karaoke mic to like the mics we're able to use now, and that we're very lucky to be able to use the instruments and like have access to what we have access to now, as opposed to 2019. So I think production wise, it's more mature, But I think also the songwriting in a way is more mature.
Yeah.
I think it's more. It's just more open. It's just all a bit more open and less restricted.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
I'd say it feels almost more emotional, emotionally mature, or like we're digging in more. I feel like how we address the songs, how I sing them as well, and how you sing to get better, it's like, it's quite direct, and it like speaks to the audience in a way that feels more, like communicative. I don't know, like with Why Don't You Love Me, I look back and it feels very like we're writing a song because like, oh cool, it's a song, and this is a song about unrequited love, and it's like emotional, but it feels very like, oh, let's write a song and here's the song. Whereas this, I think, was a lot more like reflective and direct in that communication.
Can we talk about Burning Eyes Are Calling?
Yeah.
Sure.
What does that even really mean, dude?
Burning
Period.
eyes are cool.
Burning
with the
eye.
R. With
Burning
the R.
eyes
It's not
are.
R. It's the R. That.
Yeah, the spelling's good, but then I'm also thinking like, what does it mean to have burning eyes?
I think it's like tears.
Burning eyes. I'd say
like
it's
angry
also
tears.
like kind of when it was written in school, and school is a weird place, especially when it gets to the point where like you're about to leave school and it feels like everyone's really self-conscious and everyone's getting into like a spiral of self-consciousness. And I think Burning Eyes maybe comes from that thing of like, just eyes are burning everywhere, man. Like at school, I don't know. I just
Like people watching
and like
Yeah, I get
everyone's in a
that.
clique, and like I felt that in like college. I was just like,
Yeah.
it just feels like everyone's watching everyone, and it's like everyone's eyes are burning into me, or I'm burning into them.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
makes sense.
I get that. I understand. Like, you're just like your eyes are darting around, just
Yeah.
kind of essentially assessing, like, dude, everybody all the time.
Right.
Literally, school is just, it was, in hindsight, it was
Terrible
just
place.
really weird. Like, I did love a lot of it. I had an amazing time, but some of it, especially with lockdown as well, because then we didn't see
Yeah, you don't see
any of your
people.
classmates, and then you're all back in the room suddenly.
Yeah,
And it's just like, what?
it's like social
Yeah.
bomb.
Can you explain that timeline to me? Like, so you're in lockdown, and then you go back to school.
Yeah.
So in the UK, they kept sending us back to school.
And then away again.
And then back, and then we were going to have a prom. And then they were like, no. And then, and we kept coming back, but it would be like 3 months away. And we'd be able to meet in a park if we were all like
Socially distant.
So I'd meet with like a couple mates and have a beer, like the opposite sides of a park, which was also really weird. But then when we came back, we'd all be in this tiny kind of social space. So the extremities of that was just it's just bonkers.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's just weird, yeah.
So weird.
And do you do Heartstoppers during this time or no?
I did it just after. So like everyone was back at school, and then I started shooting it when like everyone was kind of back at school, and then everyone left for study leave. So I kind of dipped for like 4 months, 5 months, and then came back and everyone had already finished school. So it kind of came at the end of the school life.
So they didn't get to experience television star version of you.
No. No, they didn't.
That's kind of lucky.
Blessing.
To be fair. Yeah.
Blessing.
For them or for you?
For everyone, all parties
all
involved.
parties involved.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
By the way, you can listen to Isotope. It's waiting for you on Amazon Music. Back to Misfit Biscuit. What does that even really mean? What the fuck is a Misfit Biscuit?
Bro,
Don't
these
ask
are
me,
good
man.
questions.
Yeah, but you have some interesting titles.
True.
Misfit Biscuit. My God.
Some weird records.
I'd
Word.
say Misfit Biscuit is
It's not fitting in, is it?
it's not fitting in, and it's
Yeah.
the same thing at school. I think people find it. Actually, a lot of people have been saying this to us now, especially slightly younger fans that are still in school, that are in those social circles and stuff, and they'll be like, "Oh, I really resonate with that song." And it's like, I think again, school is an interesting place where there's a lot of seeming conformity in spaces, and then not everyone feels like they completely fit in with everything. Some people feel a bit dislodged from the kind of the harmony of school life, of social life, and I think the songs maybe a bit about that. And also it's like a bossa nova, so it's like got a big like Latin beat behind
It's
it.
kind of fun, you know?
It's fun, but then it's actually
just, like,
really
depressing
it's really
as
deep.
well.
And I think like to cover it up by like the kind of the seeming fun of school and like everyone's having a good time, everyone's hanging out and stuff, but there's this kind of deeper heart and deeper heartbreak underneath. That's kind of Misfit Biscuit.
Misfit Biscuit.
Are you writing these songs while going through things, or are you just going through things and then writing them?
It depends. Like
I often see writing, or when I look back, it's like I wanted something to happen, and I write it as if it has happened.
Yeah, people do that all the time. They manifest things through songs.
Yeah, right? But then it doesn't necessarily happen, but it's like after the song, I feel some kind of peace because it's like that was a kind of fantasy in my head.
So that's so interesting. So it's like it's a form of manifestation.
Like You're So Pretty, I guess, was like it's a love song, but I was like 15. I didn't know anything about love, and it was like I had a crush on someone or whatever, and it's like I wish this was like how I really felt, and that was real life, but this is just like what I wish I was feeling. And then after that was written, it's like oh, okay, well, I've lived it.
And then like Misfit Biscuit's just like, oh, it's happening.
Yeah, that's.
Are you guys each singing the lyrics that you write, or will you write lyrics for each other?
For each other.
It's a mix and match, yeah.
So you never know who's
you never know who's actually saying it. You'll never know. It's actually so the lyrics that I write that Olivia sings, it's like one of my favorite things to like hear it back. It's like this beautiful, I don't know, it's just this beautiful full circle moment. And especially in the live shows, I just like when you're singing lyrics and they're like from the depths of my soul, it's just like, it's like crazy.
It's like, it's like communicating. That's so trippy as well, though.
It's really trippy. Burning Eyes is really trippy.
Yeah.
Well. That's really trippy because there's both of our perspectives at each other.
Right.
That's really trippy to play.
That song, like the verses were written by him. I think it goes into specifics maybe about a relationship, and you're like in like angsty agony or whatever. And then the chorus I wrote as like somebody listening to him having written those verses and like giving my perspective. Like I can feel your hurt, or like I can feel that like in me, and then it's like I don't know, like empathetic. So it's like a trippy thing.
Is it easy or hard to be vulnerable with one another while like making these records that are about things that you guys are really going through outside of each other?
I'd say it's mixed. I think like all things considered, like we're really good at being vulnerable with each other, and I think comfortable, especially creatively, to share, because I feel like we've mastered the creation of a safe space to like open up and give each other ideas. Like when we sit down together at a piano, there's like a consensus of like, okay, this is a trusted place. It sounds very like therapy vibe, but it's like I think we really put effort into making each other feel comfortable with sharing, but it's obviously very hard to share those things. It's hard with anyone.
I'd say also like having that safe space, which is so important. It like gives us the ability to have a laugh and to like be able to, I don't know, like if I feel really safe in those rooms, and I feel we have a lot of fun as a result of that because we're completely trusting.
That's the
like,
sibling thing as well. We kind of like make everything a bit lighthearted as well, and are able to mock each other in a good way.
Yeah.
Healthy way.
Yeah.
Can you explain your name to me? I mean, I understand it, but like the project part, I kind of don't understand. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
It's like intense. Like I like it. It's an intense name.
It's intense.
For like not an intense sound.
Very much. Yeah. It's so funny because that name was like
Wasia Project.
Literally
it flows.
If it flows.
But it's a 2-name band. I think that's also very interesting.
Yeah.
2-name group.
It's weird. It was like the thing at the beginning.
Wasia Project.
We were like, let's kind of do this as a joke, like talking about heritage of like Western Asia and like.
Because that was the Wasian trend. It was like a trend on like, TikTok. Like Wasian check. Yeah, it was like this whole thing.
Bro, it was such a joke. And then Project came afterwards because it was like, okay, this is, because we weren't like, oh, this is going to be a big, this was just us doing a project together that was creative as siblings. And we were like, what a fun name. So we just did that, and I think we just stuck with it because there was this irony that came into it that was like, when we started doing press and, you know, things were picking up and we were explaining that, it's like, we're all about like, don't put us in a box, like, oh, we're open to genres, but it's like the name is a box.
Is a box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we found that kind of funny because it's like, it's so interesting, that phenomenon of like putting people into genres, and like the way I think especially press and media focus in on identity, especially with music artists, which I think can be a very cool and amazing thing. But I guess like at the heart of it, music is such a universal thing. So it's like,
there's no boundary. It's just one space. It's
but
like
one
space.
that name was originally it came from that.
And it sticks around forever.
Sticks around forever, you know.
Yeah, we deeped it majorly.
We taught. I was like, you know, this is.
Never heard that.
Like we just like, given that we just started it like quite, you know, on the cuff, and
it was like fun, and then
we just took it.
Now it's a big deal.
Yeah, we just deeped it. Like,
And we talked, because obviously it's like, well, yeah, if you're gonna make your whole thing about like not being in a box and then your name is that, we were like, okay, wait, maybe we should think about changing this. Maybe this is like a thing we need to consider. But I think that irony is something I actually really, really like. And I like wearing that name on our sleeve. I think it's quite fun.
Wasia Project. You can listen to the music. It's waiting for you. Isotope, their latest EP, but the entire discography is waiting for you on Amazon Music. There's a link below. Does Heartstoppers make you a better musician? Like, figuring out what it takes to be a TV actor, does it make you a better artist?
it's a good question. I think one thing that I can say is shooting the show. We shoot on a location, and we all stay kind of near the location. So I'm not at home, but I brought that keyboard. I'd say I wrote very freely, and writing flowed out of me in a really great way, in a new way, when I was shooting the show, because your structure's so intense. Like when you're shooting a show, you're up at 5 a.m., you have breakfast, then you're in a chair doing makeup, and then it's just like such an intense day. So those days off are just kind of these complete kind of reservoir moments of time where you can literally just do anything. And I found a real creative solace in those moments. That's what I can say. Also, I think being in a creative environment in any way, being around actors who are a fun bunch of people most of the time, like
No shade.
it's creative, and it's just a very creative environment to be in. Everyone's talking about what films they're enjoying, what music they're liking, and it's wonderful to be amongst other artists and fellow actors. And I think that inevitably crosses over and spills into other outlets of creation. So yeah, I'd say definitely.
But it is interesting, like the idea of like going one day, the speed and the intensity and the volume that you're existing in, to the next day being the complete opposite, the stillness and silence, and yeah, your brain is left with so much.
Yeah, and there's a lot of times to be able to just like reflect on it and feel everything, because the stillness does allow room for kind of feeling everything.
But when it's loud and quick and fast and intense, you have to go numb because you have to get it done.
You got to get it done. Yeah, and that's what we find on tour. It is less. We are less still. Although the last few days we've been a bit stiller.
Yeah, that's been really helpful too.
We had a chat about just like creation, and like we had a really nice chat the other day, and that came, I guess, out of having a few days.
Yeah, for sure.
After like a really intense touring schedule, to just like, how are we feeling? Yeah.
What is it like on stage? Is it just the two of you? Is it you guys in a band?
Yeah, it's us two. You're on keys with another vocal mic. We have an incredible band that have been with us
since 3 years ago today.
That's crazy.
Luca and Tom. So Luca on drums and Tom's on bass guitar.
And sometimes we'll get a sax in or a sax and trombone for like festival season and just boost it up a little bit. And then I've hopped on guitar a little bit this tour.
Very good guitar as well. Rips a solo.
The horns are great.
The horns are great.
Horns are really, really
It's
fun.
fun.
And what I will say about the live show is when you listen to the records and then you come to the live, it is a slightly, I mean, all live shows are different from the record, but for us, there's moments of the live show that are just really, really different to the records. And I feel with the boys and with the band over the last 3 years, we've been able to develop and craft a really nice kind of different perspective to bringing the songs to life. And bringing like showcase to life.
I guess quite jazzy, you know.
Yeah, quite jazzy.
I feel like that's our live experience plays with that a lot because.
But I got jazzy, like from time to time, I got jazzy vibes while listening to your music. Like,
Yeah.
Also, like very interesting song structure is different. It's cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like, I guess jazz has been a part of our like background as well. And really appreciating that. I think as well with your piano journey or whatever, it's like been a big aspect of your inspiration for songwriting. And I think especially live, like the spontaneity and like, freedom you get when there's a sense of like improvisation and a sense of difference every night is like super refreshing. Even as like a vocalist, like being able to play around with new melodies and new notes, it's like it just keeps it fresh and fun. So yeah,
you need that flexibility
for sure. Yeah,
but it's hard. Like some pop stars, like they don't get it because there's pyrotechnics and 1,000 dancers, and you have every mark to hit because the whole thing relies on you hitting those marks. Like you don't have the ability to be flexible or change it up.
Yeah, I mean it's a privilege. Yeah,
it's a real honor.
Yeah, but also it takes real musicianship. There's other people who perform with a band that just they don't have that. You don't have that. Creative collaboration or chemistry, like
we're very lucky because I went to school with them, so they're like I've known Luca for like 10 years, both of them for 10 years, and we did like school plays together growing up, and we started playing in jazz groups together from 13. So it's
that's what you could ask for,
for years and years and years. So it's like 10 years in the making with with playing music together.
How do you set up the studio that you make music in? Are there live instruments there, or is it just you guys in a computer?
No, well, we use our producer studio. We've been working with Isotope and like a few singles before that with our wonderful producer, St. Francis Hotel, and he has a studio in East London that's like, it's set up in a very specific way, and he's really savvy with the mics and where to place them, especially on drums, to get that I don't know what sound it is, but it's a very quality sound and very specific.
It's really high quality. I think there's drums, piano, Rhodes, a few synths, a Prophet, which we use a lot, and then loads of guitars, and a computer and a sound system. So it's like that kind of playground that we have access to, which is really nice. But what's really fun as well is what we've been doing more, especially with Isotope. We've been going into these bigger rooms like Rack Studios in West London. There. Bigger studio, a bit more grown up. Like Radiohead had made a record there, and it was
that's crazy. Yeah.
The weight of that room was really cool for Isotope, and I definitely feel that the energy in that room and what we're going through that week informed the kind of sharpness to the record. I think. It definitely added a new layer. So I'm really excited to experiment going into new rooms and different rooms. Like
space. Oh my god, space changes so much.
Yeah,
it's so informative.
Why do you make Tell Me Lies shorter for the EP? Because it was big, right, and longer. And
it was 6 minutes long. Before.
Was it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was a big song.
Why'd you cut it?
It just wasn't fitting with like the whole EP. I think. We wanted this body of work to really connect with each other, and for some reason it just didn't sit in the right space. I think for me personally, I felt it just reminded me a lot of the stuff we'd written before, and I was kind of bored of it. I wanted to move in a new direction, and I wanted to try new things and like explore a bit more, and it felt this was like 2 or 3 years old as well, and that one was just kind of like I feel like I've outgrown it.
So is it a totally new song that made the album or EP? I'm sorry.
Yes.
So Somebody Come Through came in last minute as a result of us cutting
Tell Me
Lies, but we like the string bit at the end of Tell Me Lies,
so
like let's just keep that in, add some reverb, put some synthy stuff over it, it'll be fun. And then Somebody Come Through came in. I personally was like wanted it to stay on the cutting room floor. Like I was like, oh, somebody come through. Like I was like, I like it, but it's not like it's not like sharp. And then we kind of worked on it for a week. And then we kind of were scribbling loads of lyrics, we're throwing things around. We ended up at opposite ends of a park at one point because we were just like, oh, we don't know how to do this.
It was hard, yeah.
But then it clicked into place. And then like now looking back, I was like, yeah, it was good we did that.
Yeah, very good.
I'm glad we took it off the floor.
I like that you guys end up in parks a lot.
That's the London thing for sure.
It is. Well, yeah, it's like a thing in New York City too. You end up in a park, you know. Any big city where grass isn't readily available.
Just end up touching. You say to me like, go touch some grass. Like,
bro,
it's kind of far. You got to walk to get there.
It's true.
Got to take the tube, man.
Yeah.
Like,
this will take me about 15 minutes. Shit.
It's worth it though. It's worth it every time, man. It's worth it.
What are you thinking?
How are you guys able to get some of your music in Heartstopper?
I actually didn't know it was happening until they surprised the director
with
was
You're
like,
So Pretty as well.
there's a surprise.
That was crazy sync.
And like some of the other actors, like Kit was like to me, oh, this is a good surprise. This is a surprise. And I was like, what is the surprise, man? And then like I think it was like the last day of shooting. They showed me the scene, or they were like showed me the bit, and they were like, it's gonna have that song in. And I was like, oh, great. Like it's really cool. Like I was like really thankful. Told Olivia,
we were like,
yeah, really cool. And then fast forward 6 months, we watched it, and then that scene married with the song, it just hits home, man. Like it's so beautiful, and it was just meant to be together, like the song and the scene, and we're really grateful.
Yeah, it was a beautiful sync.
Yeah. Really nice sync.
Is there anything you learn about, like, I don't know, like, do you actually pick up anything about love and human beings from creating and helping bring to life a story like that?
For me?
Yeah, in life, does it reflect art at all?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think it's definitely had an impact on me, like telling that story, and it's allowed me to accept myself more. There's just more of an acceptance of who you are, like being a part of that show. The show is all about just being who you want to be, loving who you want to love. And that is just such a beautiful mantra for life. And to accept yourself, whoever you are, and accept yourself for your flaws and your good bits, you know. And I think definitely it had a profound, it's been being part of that show, and working on it as musicians now and as an actor. It's beautiful. It's an honor.
It's a generational defining show.
I think so. It had definitely a cultural impact.
Oh, yeah, to say the least. Isn't there another season on the horizon?
So season 3 is out now, I think. It definitely is out now. I should know that. It's definitely out. Season 3 is out now, yeah. And then, who knows? Who knows?
Cryptic.
So,
do you want another season? Yeah, you're like, yo, give me another sing, sis. What do they need? Give me a break now. I'll grab some records.
Put the whole of Isotope over a whole.
Well, you guys did make a short film out of it.
We did, yeah.
It's great, by the way. It looks great.
Thank you.
How hard is that to pull off?
Hard. I don't know if pull. I don't know if. Yeah.
Pull off is the right word.
We shot it here in LA.
Yeah, we
shot
did.
it in some random.
We're in Topanga.
Yeah.
We were like in a mountain, and we'd finished this huge tour and was so tired.
We were dressed in suits, and we were like, because I think we'd come up with the concept of the film, and we were like, let's make this kind of short film. Way before the touring started, and then we shot it right at the end of tour. So it was like we had to like go back 3 months in our mind and be like, right, we're here, we're shooting Isotope. But we had a great team, Charlie and Charlie, who were directing us, and we pulled it together in a few days here, and then edit it back in London. I just think the film, like, to play with a body of work and reflecting it in a whole body of film, like music and film and that relationship, something that we've always wanted to play with. I think Isotope's pretty cinematic in parts, and we were like, let's just pair it with something really cinematic and see what happens.
I think as well it was just like something we wanted to grow from, because it's such a task, like trying to do that and to pull off, I guess. And it's like we are so sort of new, I guess, relatively to the music video space. Obviously not film with like cameras and stuff, but I think trying to translate what you see in your head to the camera, and especially in collaboration with others, is a very, very, very hard thing. And yeah, I think we just learn a lot from it and learn a lot about like how we work with visuals and yeah, how we want to translate what we're thinking. Yeah.
You can watch it. We'll put a link below. All of their music waiting for you on Amazon Music. Final thoughts?
I think we covered a lot.
We did.
Yeah.
This is nice.
It was a really nice conversation. It's really good questions as well. Like, I really like the questions.
I appreciate you guys. Real recognizes real. Come back as you release stuff, yeah?
For sure.
Yeah,
I love
for
this
sure.
troll, you know.
He's been around a long time.
Or like the purple with the room.
Yeah, Troll, this guy, that guy. Zane's the newest
This one.
This is so good.
That's honestly maybe the most famous thing about what like our show.
He looks like he's been around.
Yeah, you know how many celebrities have held that pillow like on their lap or like I mean, right?
Yeah.
So
everyone.
cute.
Yeah.
Wow.
We just want to keep it on there until the Smithsonian calls and says, "Hey, can we display that cat pillow that sits on your couch?"
They're not calling.
Oh, you never fucking know, dude. YouTube matters. Okay? Oh, Wasia Project. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
You guys are great. Come back again. William, Olivia, everybody. There you go.